Hello, this is the fourth chapter of the Unit 8 about the Spanish hegemony and the conquest of America. In this fourth chapter, we are going to see the conquest and control of the Americas that consists on three parts. The first one is the economic exploitation of the Indies made by the Spanish. The second, the trading of products, and the third, the consequences of the conquest. So the first part is the economic exploitation of the Indies. Once that the Spanish took control of the America, they started exploiting, taking out the resources of America. They took mainly three kind of resources: mining, agriculture, and trading. Mining, it was made of mainly gold and silver. The people who worked there were the Indians, and they were forced to work, but anyway, they were not treated as slaves because they were paid. Here we have the example of the Potosi mine that was full of metals. Other economic activities, such as agriculture, they had a kind of properties, big properties called haciendas, which are still existing today for land farming, for agriculture. They had estancias and ranches for livestock farming, and here they had two kind of workers, the native people and black slaves who were taken from Africa. The third part is trading, about the economic exploitation. The West Indies trading was a Castilian monopoly. It means that only Castile was allowed to do trading with America, nor Aragon or any other country in Europe. And inside Castile, only Sevilla, the Sevilla port, that was made through the river Guadalquivir until the Atlantic Ocean, only Seville was allowed to do the trading with America. That's why they built, or they created, the House of Trading, la Casa de Contratación. It means that Seville was the starting point and the arrival point of the fleets going to the Indies. And there, what they did was an inventory, a check of every product that was going to and coming back from America. And that way, they collected the taxes that the ships had to pay to the crown, to the kings. Moving to the second part, the exchange of products. There were many products that were not known in Europe from America, and the other way around, that many products, European products, that American people didn't know. Here in this image you have many examples. In Europe they didn't know tobacco, potato, tomato, vanilla, peppers, cacao, turkey, and some others. While in America they didn't know many products like olives, banana, sugarcane, the insect, honey bean, or coffee. Many people think that coffee comes from America, but coffee for real came from Africa. American people didn't know coffee before they were discovered by Europe. And here we have the illnesses, the diseases that Americans didn't have until Europeans landed to America. Influenza, which is gripe, typhus, whooping cough, which is tosferina, malaria, diphtheria, and many others. That was the real cause that killed millions of American people when they started being in contact with the Europeans. And third, we're going to analyze the consequences of the conquest from the point of view of the native people, the point of view of the Spanish, and relating to the religious changes too. For the native people, as we saw in the film Even the Rain, they were mostly negative because of a number of reasons. Because their kingdoms and empires were destroyed, because the native people were subjected, sometida, both economically and socially to the conquerors, because they had to abandon their traditions, their costumes, their culture, their languages, and mainly because their population fell. In this image, you have an example just in Central America, in what is today Mexico, in the first 100 years, how the population strongly fell from 25 million people, caused mainly by diseases, viruela in this case, and until the end of those 100 years, they had dropped until 2-3 million of inhabitants. On the other hand, the consequences for Castile, for the Spanish, were quite positive because several reasons. The first of them is that the money and the resources coming from America paid the Spanish hegemony in the 16th century. Charles I was continually, and even Philip II, continually in wars, and the money they needed to pay the soldiers and the weapons, they were taking mainly from the resources coming from America. Secondly, the many Spanish people who wanted to start a new living and to do the Americas, hacer las Américas, in order to try to get rich in their lives, they emigrated to the new territories, trying to start a new life. The third main idea of the consequences for the Spanish were that the economy grew, given the abundance of metals that there were in America. And in other field, in the cartography, which is the art of doing maps, or geography, in biology, the new discoveries allowed the science to develop. And finally, the changes or consequences of the conquest in the field of religion, I have to say that if you remember the causes of the discoveries, it was one of them that the Spanish people wanted to spread Christianity to new lands. Once that the Spanish people had discovered America, they felt that it was their mission to spread the Catholic religion. As you can see here, taken from the film Event Rain, they put a cross, a Catholic cross, showing this idea. The indigenous religions, the religions that the native people had, they were removed. Mostly or mainly, it was made by force, hecho a la fuerza.